Hey everybody, happy Sunday. How are you guys? Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been forever since I have done a live feed on Facebook. And it's been a really interesting couple of weeks. I'm here in Kansas with family before I land in San Francisco. Decided to leave Brooklyn a month earlier than planned so that I could just kind of hang out with family and save some extra money. My mom was like, why don't you just come stay with us? My mom and my stepdad. And she's like, then you don't have to pay rent, then you won't have expenses, and you can just chill out with us. You know, of course, her ulterior motive was to spend more time with me, which I don't mind at all. I enjoy being with my mom and stepdad here very much. So it's been really nice to just be in this rural country. Pace is much slower. Everything is so quiet. The stillness here in the evenings is incredible. Going out at night and you can just see the stars because it's a really small town in farm country. And the stars are so bright and you can see everything so clearly, and the crickets and the locusts at night, just like this chorus of amazing sound. And you know, the thing that I am the most aware of is just the quietness here, you know, and I'm not, you know, I grew up in a small town. I've spent a lot of time in small towns, but after a really intense few months in Brooklyn and car alarms and people blasting their music and sirens and fire trucks and just noisy, rowdy, you know, intensity, it's really nice to be where it's just still and quiet. Like right now, if I'm silent, the only thing I hear is the ticking of the grandfather clock. But you know, it's been a very interesting couple of weeks. And the last video I recorded, Stop Being Spiritual, had an amazing response. And I have to say I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised. And I don't know why I was surprised. I think because it felt like recording that video felt like I was stepping out into this new place. And in many ways was beginning to contradict a lot of what I had been talking about previously, or things I had been, you know, talking about in my classes or my videos or my sessions or the soul expansion groups or all of that. And so I didn't want to contradict myself. And my brain, of course, was like, oh my God, Andrew, you're biting the hand that feeds you. And, you know, you don't want your, you know, you don't want to offend people. You don't want to piss people off. You don't want to make people uncomfortable. And that's my mind. You know, one of the favorite fear stories that my mind loves to throw up is, you know, the idea of me hurting someone's feelings or the idea of upsetting someone. And that's one of my favorite fear tactics that my mind likes to use. But I think that really what's been so important for me is to really question myself of how do I show up in service, knowing what I know and feeling what I feel. And, you know, truth be told, I think many of us right now, including myself, absolutely myself included, are in this sort of in-between upside down place where it's almost like, and I'll speak for myself, it's like I almost just feel lately like I don't know anything. And that a lot of the ideas and beliefs that I used to hold up as true have just fallen away. And that can be a very scary thing to the mind, but to me, from a perspective of, you know, my true nature and knowing myself as a sovereign being and standing in that, it's really thrilling and it's really exciting because it just feels like stepping into infinity. It feels like stepping into this expansiveness that is without limitation, that is without expectation, that is without requirement, that is without story, or even really without belief. And just allowing myself to be present, period. And beginning to look at these things that we call, you know, in my last video, when I was talking about Stop Being Spiritual, it wasn't about rejecting ideas that we consider to be spiritual ones. It wasn't about, you know, and a lot of people were talking about the Doreen Virtue thing that she, you know, has recently announced that she's born again Christian. And that she is moving in this new direction, and she's gotten rid of a lot of her old tarot cards, and she has some new opinions on mediums and psychics and predictive readings. And I'm not here to judge or condemn or approve or you know, or co-sign any of that. I'm just using her as an example. There are a lot of us asking new questions, and my friend Katya Turner at Indigo Diaries, she posted a video a couple of weeks ago. It was around the same time that I posted my video, and hers was, you know, is the New Age dead, or something along those lines. I'll put the links in the description below. And then Matt Kahn recently posted a video that was similar vibe, and then my friend Jeremy Nudell from Divinely Human, I'll also post his link. He recently posted a video about this, and so I think there's just a lot of us in this place right now. And many of us, people who don't have a YouTube channel, and people who don't consider themselves to be, you know, leaders or teachers or guides, people who are, you know, doing their thing in a much different way, or sorry, I'm having connection issues. I'm literally right next to the wireless modem, but rural Wi-Fi is even more unreliable than Brooklyn Wi-Fi. But just allowing ourselves to be present and allowing ourselves to be as we are without the need to remove ourselves from our experience and say, where's my vibration? Am I clearing? Am I healing? Am I in the zone? Am I balanced? Am I aligned? Am I in 5D? Am I in 3D? Am I, you know, am I doing my work? Am I being good at being spiritual? And anytime we're having a thought about our experience, we are pulling ourselves out of it. And with the construct of a human body and having an ego and having a mind and a brain with all of these neurons and synapses firing, it's going to be nearly impossible to have an experience where we are not having a thought. So I'm not saying don't have a thought. What I am saying is when we become entrenched in the mental loop of thinking about it and trying to achieve it and trying to reach it and trying to claim it and trying to get to it, we have immediately taken ourselves away from it. Because it, that consciousness, that awareness, that infinite presence that we are, which has chosen to express itself through our human experience. We are the ones that give, our physical experience is what gives consciousness hands to feel and eyes to see and a mouth to taste and a nose to smell and ears to hear and a body to receive and send pleasure or pain or sensations or physicality or whatever it is. But that presence, that infinite intelligence is always. It is. And so what we are seeking, because no matter what, I find this consistently through my work, no matter what it is that people say they are seeking, whatever they label it as, what I know to be true is that the only reason we ever, and I've talked about this before, the only reason we ever choose anything is because we think of how we think it will make us feel. And if we peel back enough layers, at the foundation of every desire is just the desire to return to that state of being. To return to that state of just being present within our experience. And that presence and that place is where the ease is, it's where the flow is, it's where the calm is, the joy is, and it's where the sadness is and the anger is and the frustration is. And when we allow ourselves to feel emotion, at the bottom of it all is just that eternal infinite state of presence. And that eternal infinite state of presence and of awareness does not judge or condemn any of it. It is merely here, always. It is. And when we allow ourselves to just rest in that, it is amazing what begins to fall away. And so we realize that a spiritual experience is not a spiritual experience in the way that we have begun to think of it. We have abstracted it and turned it into something that we put outside of ourselves. But a spiritual experience is just the experience of what you are and what we are and the I am, the eternal, infinite presence. It's always there. It's always there. And so the journey of seeking, which is an important journey, by the way, that's what that journey is all about. It's getting to the top of the mountain so we can find that realization and get that wisdom and get that truth. And for everybody, that wisdom and that truth is going to be a different thing. But it all leads back to the same place. We as humans are always instinctively seeking the light that we are because we want to connect to, we know it's like a homing pigeon. We carry that light within us and it is always seeking itself, right? It's like a magnet. It is always seeking to return to itself. That's the whole point of a lifetime. And so it makes sense. The journey is necessary, but at the end of the journey is the wisdom, and the wisdom is what then we take with us, and that wisdom is always some form of, I had it in me all along. The ruby slippers were always on my feet. The truth was always there. And it's always been within me. And so I needed the journey to remind myself of that and to discover that. And then it becomes a question of what do I do with that knowledge? And for me, it has been just being. And allowing these insights and these bits of inspiration to surface and emerge, and then taking action from them. And one of the most amazing things that has begun to occur is in the energy work sessions that I'm doing, because I've gotten rid of pretty much everything that I'm doing. I'm not doing Sunday calls anymore. The Soul Expansion group has reached its conclusion, and it's interesting because within the Soul Expansion group, and when I sent out the message, I got messages from several of you, and some of you I responded to, and some of you I missed. It got lost in the shuffle, so thank you for taking the time to respond. And many of you said, yeah, I kind of felt that actually. I felt that it had come to a completion and that we were finished. And so the energy work sessions right now is the primary way that I'm connecting with people one-on-one. And it's been this interesting thing. I've never really had a very clear description of what happens in the energy work until recently. This new piece has come on, and what I realize is that in the energy work, what I am doing is helping build a bridge between you from your human perspective and you as your whole self. And we're basically opening up a doorway and creating a space for that whole self to really descend and merge with you, so that this perception of limitation diminishes. This perception of separation diminishes. And, you know, we always talk about the veil lifting, and if you Google like the veil lifting or the thinning of the veil, or, you know, the dissolution of the veil, there's this concept in a lot of spiritual ideas and spiritual circles that the veil, right? The veil is this awareness, this amnesia that we come in with that keeps us sort of, you know, asleep to who we really are. And as the veil thins, we realize more and more the reality. But oftentimes we externalize that and think that means that as the veil thins, right, as these frequencies shift and expand, the consciousness and the consciousness that we are, we learn how to tune into more of it, and we get a bigger bandwidth, and we perceive more. And a lot of people oftentimes believe that part of that is like the veil from their physical eyes, and now all of a sudden they're going to be seeing things in their physical reality that they haven't seen before, and that very well may be a part of it. But more importantly, it's about the veil within that falls. The veil of separation from myself as Andrew to my higher self. And as the energy work is really opening up this place where the entirety of who we are comes in and kind of plops itself down, and we merge with that. And that entirety of who we are, we often call the higher self, but even that, to me, I'm realizing there really is no higher self. Not in the way that we have crafted the story, this belief that oftentimes the higher self is like some version of me that's out there or up there, or this deified aspect of myself that somehow sits in this Godhead and has this ability and this power that I don't have as a mere human. And that is a belief that is falling away. That is a belief that keeps us locked in powerlessness. That is a belief that keeps us locked in this idea that I am less than as a human and that I gotta get somewhere else to be in a better place, right? This idea that the human is the lesser experience and that there is something greater that I gotta struggle and strive and work to get to. But when we drop all of that and allow ourselves to be in this moment right now, we see that we are the higher self. The higher self is right here, right now. The higher self is no more separate from me than the thumb is separate from the head. It's all part of the same organism. And for me to take the thumb's perspective and say, oh, well, the head is somewhere up there and it's separate from me and I got to do everything I can to achieve that level, that's not the function of the human. The function of the human is to be here boots on the ground. The function of the thumb is to be on this place on the hand. And it is not the head. But it is not separate from the head either. So me as Andrew here doing my human thing as boots on the ground, I am my higher self walking and breathing and living and talking and choosing and thinking and feeling and eating and sleeping. My higher self is not out there separate from me. My higher self is a state of consciousness and awareness that is always present. And when I stop holding myself separate from it, when I stop looking for joy, I realize that it is present right now. When I stop trying to get happy, I realize that happiness is present right now. And it is present within whatever I am experiencing. So if I've got fear, or I've got anger, or I've got anxiety, or whatever it is that's present in my experience, happiness does not come by trying to outrun it and seek something outside of me to get rid of the fear or the unhappiness or the anxiety. Happiness comes as I sit with and allow whatever state is present to be where it is, and just allow it to be, and realize that I am the eternal one who is experiencing it all through the lens of Andrew, and that I have chosen to be Andrew for this lifetime, so I am Andrew as I am. Then the need to even deny myself my unhappiness goes away. And that's freedom. And it's just been a very interesting thing to see how my energy work sessions have expanded and started to create this place where it's about entering into a space of unconditional love, of infinite compassion, and of allowing you to be as you are right now, without expectation, without judgment, and most importantly, without denying what is here right now. Sadness and anger and guilt and shame and depression, those are not evidence that anything is going wrong. Those are evidence of the awareness that you are sitting in that. And when we allow ourselves to just be present, it's amazing what falls away. And that, to me, is what is so fascinating. And I've been obsessed lately with this question of what happened to Dorothy after she got back from Oz. How did she live her life? What happened to Alice after she got back from Wonderland? What happened to Neo? And we see, the Matrix. What happened to Neo once he realized the truth? What happened to Luke once he finished training with Yoda, right? All of these, the hero's journey and the journey of the heroine and all the journey of the seeker, and then the awakening, and then the transformation, and then the training with some holy person or some, ascended master type, right? Yoda, what's his name? Morpheus, the four friends that, Dorothy had on her way to the Emerald City where she met these ascended wise people, characters. They teach the person, the hero, the heroine, they teach them what they already knew. That person, that shaman, that medicine woman, that wizard is only there as a reflection of what has always been true, that you have had the power all along. That consciousness has been moving through you since day one. That consciousness is what chose your human experience. I, as the eternal infinite being that I am, chose Andrew to know myself as Andrew. So when I just let things be as they are, I realize that, and I talk about this all the time, I'm the divine doing the laundry. I'm the divine sitting in my, my mom's cluttered office drinking my lemon water. So I just, this idea that we put it out here, this higher self idea is something I just want to invite you to over the next couple of days and over the next week or whatever. I'm inviting you to just sit with this idea that the very thing you seek, in this case the higher self, is right here. Peace occurs when I stop seeking peace. Freedom occurs when I stop seeking freedom. Surrender occurs when I stop seeking surrender and stop trying to figure out how to surrender. Meditation occurs when I stop meditating and just show up. Then life becomes a meditation. So that's where I am right now, and it's an exciting place to be and a very strange place to be because, to free myself from all of the requirements of being spiritual is a very odd place. But to sit and just be in acceptance of it is a magical, wonderful thing. And what I realize is the things that I am seeking, because I'm reworking my services, I'm getting ready to offer some new things. The energy work I'm expanding. So if you go to my website, you'll see the description of the energy work and the purpose of it, or the sort of the description of it has changed, it's expanded. I've got my event coming up in Los Angeles at the House of Intuition. The 21st, I'll be doing private clients. It's a Thursday. Then Friday night from 7 to 9. It's either 7 to 9 or 7:30 to 9:30. I'll be doing the Autumn Equinox Portal activation. And those things are still very exciting to me. And it's been very interesting to see, like, okay, how do these things that I offer in terms of my devotional practice, how do they fit into this new idea that it's not really spiritual, it's just me doing my thing, and that none of us are spiritual, we're just people living our lives, and we can't not be spiritual because we are spirit in human form, right? It's just who we are. It's woven into the fabric. It's like trying to be human without DNA. You just can't really do it. But it's a really, really interesting place to be. So I just invite you to just relieve yourself of having to achieve or reach or acquire anything. Just be present with where you are and what is. And see that what you've been waiting for, what you've been waiting to show up is already here. And that's just that truth and that sense of the eternal infinite consciousness that we are. It's always present. It's always present. Because it's the fabric that holds it all together. It's the reason for all of it. So that's it. I just wanted to offer these musings for you guys. I'll put the link in the description for Katya's video, Jeremy's video, and Matt Kahn. Matt Kahn, there's a quote, and I don't know if it's something that came out of his most recent video or if it is something that is an older quote, but I read this quote and, he said, you are not having a spiritual experience, your body is. Something to that effect, that you're not on a spiritual journey, your body is on a spiritual journey. Because the body is the thing that drives the consciousness through the field of the human experience. But once the body is gone, the consciousness continues. And this is something that I've been saying for this has been one of the truths that I'm still holding up, is that the reason that the human experience exists is so that consciousness can know itself through the human experience. It's not the other way around. The human experience is not the cause for consciousness. The human experience is what consciousness has chosen to know itself through. So from that perspective, we see that there is nothing wrong. It is all happening as it is happening to inspire us to play our part. And only you know what that part is. And only you get to decide what that action is. And only you know what that truth feels like. So stop looking for it and realize that it's already here. Thanks you guys for watching. Have a fantastic Sunday. I love you. Mwah. Talk to you later. Bye.